capable than we think we are. The sun will come out tomorrow. Put on a happy face. Nothing's more annoying than a handful of trite cliches when you're battling adversity and you really prefer a little sympathy. These Pollyanna-like cliches point out that it's far healthier to develop the ability to bounce back from adversity than it is to remain mired in misfortune. I'm quoting from an article written by a nurse, Tina Coleman, and the article was in Health Library, Mental Resilience, Bouncing Back from Adversity. I'm here to persuade you that non-resilient people should be resilient. I'm going to give you some examples about non-resilient people and what causes it and some effects. Some people are trapped in negative emotions long after the stressful event has been caused them to be stressed about, and they just choose to stay being non-resilient. First, I'm going to share with you about non-resiliencies in human beings, and then I'm going to share some causes and effects, and I'm going to give you a plan of action that might lead up to a solution, and again remind you of some tools that I shared with you once before. First, I'm going to share with you about non-resilient people. They are less handled to prepare future problems and are likely to be very overwhelmed. They turn to escape with alcohol and drugs, and they develop psychiatric problems. The physical results being unable to cope with adversity include depression, passivity, and the tendency to blame others for whatever ails them. Those who are less resilient are more likely to stack up problems and feel resentful. Simply being accommodating in relationships with others doesn't indicate that you're resilient. Truly resilient people deal with problems and they move on. Non-resilient people don't work at coping when they don't believe it works. The less resilient among us can fall prey to hopelessness. Next, I will share with you what I've learned about the causes and effects of non-resiliency, and I obtained this information from Building a Foundation Milestone Centers for People with Behavior and Intellectual Challenges. I will now discuss the causes and effects of non-resiliency. There are some signs of non-resiliency, and they can be high stress and emotional liability, frequent absence and illness, interpersonal conflict or detachment. They can be poor productivity on the individual affected and can be disengaged, and there's a lot of hopelessness there. There are many other effects of non-resiliency: hopelessness, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, people that end up being prisoners. I want to share what's happening with children. They grow up with parents that are characterized as poor, violent, around criminality, drugs and alcohol problems, and dangerous neighborhood conditions. They're less likely to grow up resilient. I got this information from a book called The Resiliency Advantage by Al Siebert. The roadblock can be their thinking style. Some thinking styles lead people to see problems as very insurmountable, so they give up even in circumstances which they do have control. This was written from an article, Karen Revich, The Resiliency Factor, Random House Incorporated. Lastly, I would like to share some facts that will serve as an aid towards a solution of being non-resilient. Now, I have this poster that I provided you with my first speech, and it still serves with very good things to do to help you rebound from being a non-resilient person. But now, I'm going to share some other things that I have personally have been doing to become a resilient person and not be resistant to my path right now. Here are some spiritual beliefs and religious convictions. They can help people become and stay more resilient since they often help answer meaning of life questions. When people experience traumatic events, resilient people search for answers through available sources. Faith in the future. The continuity of life and higher power are essential ingredients of resiliency because they help resilient people perceive bad times as temporary. It's part of our journey. We're going to get through it. These points came from learning from resilient people, lessons we can apply to counseling and psychotherapy by M. Glickman. Even when you don't feel like smiling, smile. It really works. It sets off endorphins in your head, and it makes you better, feeling better all the time. I do it all the time. It draws positive attention to you and tends to make you and others feel at ease. Smiling conveys self-confidence and an accepting attitude towards others. It makes you approachable, friendly, relaxed, open, and comfortable. And I got some of this information from How High Can You Bounce by Roger Crawford, Optimal Level Center publisher. I attend the Spiritual Center in Palm Desert, the Center of Spiritual Living. I've been going there for a long time on Sunday, and I also take classes at night. And it has honestly helped me get my head on straight. I always tell my practitioner friends and Reverend Joe, who is the head of it, I said, thanks for my medicine, because it helps me believe I'm going to get through my rough time. It provides me with good information, as I have shared with you. I have been fortunate enough to also make some new wonderful supportive friends, and that's a plus. We all have to have friends in this life. Sooner or later, those who win are those who think they can. If you think you're going to win, you can win. And that's a quote from Richard Bach. To recap, I've tried to persuade you about non-resilient people should be resilient. And I've tried to show you some causes and effects and give you some wonderful tools that I showed you previously and share some new things with it that might help you with your solution to become a resilient person. Do something. If it works, do more of it. If it doesn't, do something else. That's Franklin D. Roosevelt that gave us that wonderful quote. All of us are facing, in one form or another, through a lifetime, we are facing adversity. The ability to deal with it, process it, and get our lives back on track defines a big degree of who we are and who we are capable of becoming. If you find lemons and lemonade metaphor for resilience to be too much of a cliche, well, that's okay. Perhaps you'd rather post this thought on your bathroom mirror. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Thank you.